It's February in California, which means that winter is over and we're pretty much in early spring here. Sorry. And spring means organization. Today we're going to be using my Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon for all of these prints to see if 3D printing is in fact a useful tool for organizing your shop. Sometimes organization in the shop can get out of hand. I like to have clean surfaces, and usually what that means is that things get put in drawers that don't belong in drawers. Alright, let's start with this drawer. So at first glance, this actually looks pretty good. I did this all with 3/4 inch plywood and I sort of laid it out. The problem with these spaces are now set. Like, I can't change these spaces easily. It doesn't look bad when I open it, but it can be a lot better. I had no idea that was even in there. So the first print of today is going to be Gridfinity. Anyone here who has used a 3D printer for organization knows that this was probably where I was going to start. I would have been remiss not to have. This is a concept from Zach Friedman. He is a YouTuber. I actually met him last year, and it was before I got a 3D printer, so I didn't actually know who he was. If I see him again, I'm definitely going to thank him. This is a fantastic system. Here is a 5x5 grid of the Gridfinity system. And then spaces here for magnets or screws, whichever. I found a version on MakerWorld that was scaled down. So this low profile print is the one I've decided to use. My friend Rob also messaged me and let me know that there's a bunch of really cool Gridfinity calculators out there on the web, so you can measure your space and then the calculator will figure out what you need to print out to fill that space. You want the screw head to be super small so it actually sits flush in the grid here. Now that we've got our framework in place, we can start printing models to actually organize the items that were in that space. This is a holder for 5-inch orbital sandpaper. With my plywood dividers, I had 4 cubbies for sandpaper, but I actually have 6 grits of sandpaper there, and some are just stacked on top of each other. And so I printed 6 of these. Now you can see they do stack. I'm not going to use them like that, but it is an option if you've got a space for it. Paper. All right. And now you might ask yourself, well, Peter, which one's which? Well, I could just remember where they are. I mean, that's the way it's been forever. But this print actually has a cool little label system with it. So this is probably taking up more space than what we had in here before, but it's much better organized. It's labeled. Super happy with that. Tape. I did a lot of searches for different tape storages. This is one of the first ones I found. You can see it sits in the middle here. There is some wasted space, but it's a good model. But I think it should work. Looking, because I was hoping for something that held tape a bit more efficiently. This model, and this is basically a 2x3 bin, and then it's got these little 2mm risers that come up. They're 2mm wide, 8mm high, and they're 50mm between the two. And then you can stack the tape in the middle. Now the problem with this one is if you put these two next to each other, this print encroaches on that print. So this is just a simple Gridfinity bin. Inside Bamboo Studios, I just added, and these are both just boxes, 2mm wide, 8mm high, and then 50mm between. Now these larger ones totally fit in there as well, but the drawer's not deep enough for them. Last one I printed out is a tape holder that's designed for smaller rolls. I think it's supposed to be for electrical tape, which fits. And then I've also got these 2 Teflon tapes that I keep in there. And then I've also got a roll of silver solder that just happens to also fit. that's working for me. So that's my tape sorted. You know what? I like that better. So one of the next things I was looking at was a space for my micro screwdrivers. I use these for small projects and was looking for something to hold them. And there's lots of micro screwdriver holders, but none specifically for this shape. And then I thought, well, maybe I can just use a generic bin, and that's totally an option. I can do that. But the more I was thinking, the more I realized that the only reason that they're in a drawer is because I didn't have space for them with the rest of my screwdrivers. Considering that this is my backdrop, you guys see this all the time, but before I had a 3D printer, you could actually see where my screwdrivers were stored. So on the top row here is my Phillips, and then on this bottom row here is where I keep all of my slotted screwdrivers. I've been using this French cleat system for years. What happens is the two opposing sides lock together, and that's what holds it in place. And so you've got a slat on the wall with a 45-degree angle, then you've got your tool holders with another 45. Up on my wall I have about 16 screwdrivers, basically 2 of these that are around 13 inches of real estate. Here's a print I found for holding screwdrivers on a French cleat system. It holds 37 screwdrivers, which is enough for all of my screwdrivers, my micro screwdrivers, and my awls. It is a very large print. This took 13 hours to print. Printed this in PETG and using only 8 inches of horizontal space up here. Okay. For now, I'm just going to one thing I did do is on the original print, these 3 holes on the left-hand side in the front gradually got smaller and smaller. I added a negative cylinder and made these all 1/2-inch openings. Again, easy to do inside Bamboo Studios. So this blue handled screwdriver is usually the one I reach for the most. These are my 3 favorites. If you have favorite screwdrivers, welcome, we can be friends. Longer screwdrivers in the back. Perfect. It's pretty freaking nice. I mean, it takes up more space in this direction, but it's not like I was using that. Now all my screwdrivers are easy to get to. That means that this wall might need to be reorganized. If I find some more prints that bring things out like this, I think it'll be really nice. Even better that I hit print last night and woke up to it this morning. And that's one of the real benefits of this device. I get an idea at 8 o'clock at night, I send it to the printer, I wake up the next day and I've got it in my hands. I'm getting close to finishing up this drawer over here. I've got a handful of prints left to go, but I wanted to take a moment and thank Bamboo Labs for sponsoring this video. I've pretty much been using this printer non-stop since it was opened in August of last year. It's easy to use. It just works. And so does my A1. You can also see here that I've been showering this printer with some upgrades. This is a riser. I've added some desiccant containers in here. Got little drawers. In addition to organizing the shop, I've also been upgrading and organizing the printer as well. If you are interested in purchasing either the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon, the A1, A1 Mini, or any Bamboo Labs offering, there will be a link in the description down below. And in addition to that, I'm also using the AMS on my X1 Carbon, and I've got an AMS Lite on the A1 back here. Let's get back to the last few prints of cleaning up that drawer. We're going to be filling this up with different types of bins. If you do a search for Gridfinity bins, you will find so many. I like these that have the mesh on the side just because they take a little less time to print and use a little less plastic. Here's what's left on the table. I'm going to try to fit all of this in the drawer. Not the sandpaper, because it doesn't actually belong there. I've had these in the shop since 2016, and I never use them because I just don't think about it. Remove them from their packaging, and now they'll have a place in the shop. This is my dental pick tools. I use them for detail work, micro screwdriver, and a set of pliers. So this is a cool bin. It is a 3x4 bin. It looks like they took an existing model and then they just added dividers to it. Got things that were taking up space horizontally that could be better served vertically. Fantastic. And my blacklight bulbs. This little one here is where I'm going to store my set of mini pliers. And then I've got one solid 2x2 Gridfinity box. And there we go, the completed drawer. And there's some things like these light bulb sockets and these clock parts. I don't know that I want them in the drawer, but I wanted to show that what I took out of the drawer can go back into the drawer. I cannot tell you the last time I had that much fun with organization in the shop. All of my 3D printing friends right now are just saying, yeah, I told you so. I get it. I'm a believer. I'm really excited about this and also tackling some of the other French cleat stuff here in the shop. I've got drawers. I'm looking at a disaster on my set of shelves over here. I mean, I'm just seeing the whole shop through this lens of what can I do with my 3D printer to make life easier for me. Looking into my crystal ball, I see a lot of Gridfinity in my future.